Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Relief Valve podcast. I have been sick, and I have not been able to do any updates for about a week. In fact, I'm still kind of fighting the tail end of this. This shit sucks. So let's get into some of the things that we have to catch up here. First, the government shutdown is over. Did anyone notice? Did anyone notice we were shut down? Zero things change in my life. Absolutely zero. How about you guys? Anything change for you at all? So unfortunately, all the leeches and whiners and the worst are going to go back to getting our hard-earned taxpayer dollars again. Here was Trump at the White House taking some questions about this the other day. It was 15 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to get the gist.
Well, it depends what deal we're talking about. But if it's a deal I heard about, that's certainly, they want to change the deal a little bit, but I would say so. I think based on everything I'm hearing, they haven't changed anything, and we have support from enough Democrats, and we're going to be opening up our country. It's too bad it was closed, but we'll be opening up our country very quickly.
Mr. President, that deal does reverse the mass firings your administration put through during the shutdown. Did you sign off on that, and will you abide by that if this passes?
Well, I will be. I'll abide by the deal. The deal is very good. We're not going to be giving $1.5 trillion to people that came in from jails and from, the gangs and drug dealers and all of these others that they wanted to be given health care, which would have hurt our health care system. I hope that we're going to be able to have a health care where Lindsay and I were discussing it, Jim and I were discussing it, and Katie, we discussed it. We want a health care system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies. And I tell you, we're going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time, where the people get the money. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars where the people get the money. Yes, please.
The Syria president, sir, could you update us on your meeting? Did you come to any agreements?
Say it?
With the leader of Syria you had earlier, did you come to any agreements today?
Well, I've had an agreement with him. He's a very strong leader. He comes from a very tough place, and he's a tough guy. I liked him. I get along with him, the new president of Syria. And we'll do everything we can to make Syria successful, because that's part of the Middle East. We have peace now in the Middle East, first time that...
Pretty sure the president of Syria is a former terrorist. And, if I'm remembering that correctly. It's a little odd
as you know, Syria is
to be dealing with that.
A very big part of the Middle East, very important part. If you look back at Syria, for years they had the doctors, the lawyers, they had so many of the great intellects. It's an amazing place with great people. And we want to see Syria be successful along with the rest of the Middle East. So I have confidence that he'll be able to do the job, absolutely.
How close are you to a trade deal with India?
Right.
Yeah, Ahmed al-Shara, if I'm not mistaken, the Syrian president is once wanted as a terrorist. And now I get this is geopolitics, and the country puts somebody in charge, but then, we're making the argument here, I'm getting off topic about this, but so if we're going to deal with a former terrorist that's ruling Syria now, that has been voted in by the people, allegedly, then why the hell are we going after Maduro in Venezuela? Because he's a dictator. But why do we give a shit if we're making deals with former terrorists in Syria? Terrorist gone political leader? I mean, I guess it's not the first time it's happened in world history, but still it's a very bizarre thing. So they're going on about stupid fucking shit. So let's go on a little bit here with... So the new funding bill appears to refer to a bipartisan stopgap spending measure by the U.S. Senate on September 10th aimed at ending a historic 40-day government shutdown that began in early October. This bill provides temporary funding through January 30th, 26. Excuse me. Restores pay for furloughed federal workers and includes commitments from the Trump administration to rehire employees fired during the shutdown. They shouldn't be brought back. If you were fired, stay fired. We don't want these lefty partisans back in government again that hate the people and hate this country. However, many Democrats have expressed significant anger towards the bill for several key reasons based on public statements and reporting. The failure to extend the Enhanced Affordable Care Act, primary point of contention, is that the bill does not renew expiring enhanced health insurance subsidies under Obamacare, which were set to lapse at the end of 2025. These subsidies have helped lower premiums for millions of Americans, and their expiration is expected to cause premium hikes of up to 10 to 15% for many enrollees starting in 2026. Democrats, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, had pushed hard to include these extensions in the funding deal, viewing it as a critical fight to protect affordable health care, but ultimately conceded without them. Now, I know there was a concern, too, with Obamacare, that it catered to, like, the companies and the rich. It was kicking back money to them. Or I'm trying to remember off the top of my head at the time the concerns with Obamacare. It was... So one of the things with Obamacare that I can remember was it ended up offering discounts and again those subsidies to the lower class and the lower echelon of people making money at the expense of everybody else that was on the higher tier. So everybody else on the higher end of it would end up paying, like the taxpayer does for SNAP benefits, for everybody else on the lower tier of it. If I remember correctly, if I'm wrong, someone can correct me in chat or in the comments. But it was basically kind of like a reverse pyramid scheme. So it was everyone at the top was going to end up having to pay more to subsidize everybody on the at the bottom end of the tier. So that's, you're already stressing the taxpayers out and taking money out of their pockets. On top of that, when it comes to healthcare, you're going to stress out the taxpayers again to subsidize the lower portion of it. So, that's not fair to everybody. So if that's something that's there, it just needs to end, which apparently it's going to with this deal. This is why some of the other Democrats and the lefties are so angry. And you need to come up with something new. Now, again, this is easier said than done. I've said this on other shows. I break from my party a little bit by saying this, the standard kind of conservative and Republican view. I break from them by saying this, that I think healthcare is a necessity. And I think every legal tax-paying American should receive it and have access to it. Now, I know that you can go, you'll never be turned away at a hospital or something. You can always be seen, but then you'll be racking up giant bills. But it should be a necessity for everybody. Now, the countries like Canada and Great Britain who do this, it's at the expense of the taxpayers. It's funded by the taxpayers, and the wait times for their system are awful because their doctors are paid on scale, and there's no real incentive for to become a doctor. You're not in their system unless you're able to go out of the system and become a private one that deals with people privately. You're not making the same money as you would being a private doctor with a private practice in the United States, for example. So that's easier said than done, but I think that it's a human right to have medical access. You shouldn't have to suffer with something and just die. So, again, I don't have all the answers for it. That's just my opinion. So the Democratic defections and party disunity, and I love this. This is what the left is going on about right now. This is the Democrats that broke ranks and voted with the Republicans to reopen the government. So Maggie Hassan, Jean Shaheen, I think she's in New Hampshire, right? Tim Kaine, Angus King, Jackie Rosen, Dick Durbin, Catherine Cortez Massado, and John Fetterman. John Fetterman has been kind of a surprise to me. Kind of this VIP and or MVP, if you will, within the Democratic ranks. I'd have to say, at the time, this was the stroke victim. This was the one that had a stroke, and then he was running in Pennsylvania against Dr. Oz. And, I think he was really playing it up at the time he was running, where he had to have a machine that would, when he was at interviews, there was a machine that would help him interpret what the questions are. And now that he's in office, he's much more fluid and with answering questions. So it's possible he was going through a difficult time during his recovery. I just think it's very convenient. But having said that, Fetterman, with some of the things he's come out with and how he's been voting, he seems like a very moderate Democrat. He seems to me what Democrats used to be many years ago when I was young. That's what Fetterman, a Democrat that cared about the working class, a Democrat who voted for mostly common sense things that helped the people rather than steamrolling them and screwing them over. So I'm really starting to. He's broken from the Democrats in several different things, and I'm kind of liking what Fetterman is doing, but I don't want to branch too far off here. So yeah, again, this is the ones the left are saying primary them, get them out of here, and they're in an uproar. They're the ones that ended up siding with Republicans, and so we've got House to take up the funding bill. So this was done in the Senate. It has to go to the House. It's passed in the House. It goes to the president's desk, and it's all over. Trump threatens absent air controllers. Mamdani energizes young. The funny thing with Mamdani is people are realizing they're already screwed. He's Kathy Hochul's, the governor's office, has already said they're not going to be able to fund. You can't do free buses. It ends up being a tax increase. That's what Mamdani wanted, an increase on income tax, and Kathy Hochul's like, no, we can't do that. So therefore, there cannot be free buses. So you idiots that voted for him in New York, you're already screwed. The Senate passed a spending bill Monday night, and the House leaders said they would vote on it as early as 4 p.m. on Wednesday. President Trump said he would abide by the deal once it reaches his desk. House Democrats are widely expected to oppose the bill. While a few moderate members may buck the party and vote for it, Republicans, we already know they have, will be operating with an ultra-narrow majority to get it to Trump for a signature. The agreement has also reignited a debate among Democrats over the party's direction and the right leaders to chart the path forward, with several progressive House members and those running next year calling for Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to be replaced. So the jackals are already turning on each other and saying that old Chucky never should have agreed to this, and now his head's on the chopping block. So we'll see what this turns into with more upheaval in the Democratic Party. The insider trader scumbag Nancy Pelosi with the homosexual husband who had his boyfriend hit him in the head with a hammer, his call boy that he paid for. She's stepping down as well. She's not running for re-election. She's 150 years old. So we'll see how some of this change in the Democratic Party is. You're going to end up seeing their new, younger, progressive base like AOC coming in, and these idiots are just like totally out in left field. The old Democratic guard is dying out, literally and metaphorically, and this new socialist, communist young group is stepping in to take over their ranks. And really, they've got a young base of morons voting for them that think that it's going to be a great thing, socialist communism. And we'll see what the shakeup in the Democratic Party does when that time comes. I got more updates coming. Like, share, support, and please subscribe to the show. Thank you for all the new members. I'll talk to you soon.